people told me that the paper hadn't covered the civil rights demonstrations in other cities. When this was big news, they'd either not covered them at all or reduced them down to little briefs and put them so far back in the paper that nobody saw them. And the idea on the part of the publisher was that he didn't want to give the black community in this town ideas. Didn't want them to be misbehaving and demonstrating and getting violent. There was always a fear of violence in the civil rights period. And one day, we were standing around joking. We used to have computer breakdowns in the newsroom, and everybody would throw up their arms and curse and so on, and then they'd stand around and tell stories and tell jokes. And one of them told a joke which I thought was quite to the point and amusing, which was that we used to run corrections every day on page 2, usually inconsequential things like we got somebody's middle initial wrong, or we got some date wrong in the entertainment calendar or something like that. And we'd run these corrections, and somebody suggested that we slip into the stack of corrections an item that says, "It has come to our attention that the Herald-Leader neglected to cover the civil rights movement. We regret the omission." And I thought that was very funny, the whole idea of making up for that colossal lapse in a single paragraph. So some years later, after I left Lexington, I gave a speech, and I told that story about proposing a correction about not covering the civil rights movement. And it got some coverage, it got picked up. And one of my successor as editor here, she decided that it wasn't too late for the paper to attempt to make amends. So she did a large treatment in the paper of the civil rights movement in Lexington and the paper's failure to cover it. And it was gross. It was really bad what the paper did. There were demonstrations downtown here, sit-ins at lunch counters, that were going right down Main Street within 50 yards of the front door of the paper, and the paper didn't say a word about them.